Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about a section of scripture in James chapter 4 verses 1 to 12. And in this portion of scripture, James challenges us to choose between living for the world or submitting ourselves fully to God. The Bible makes it clear that if we are friends with the world, we become enemies with God. So what does it mean to be a friend of the world? Think about it like this. Imagine you're in a relationship with someone and they keep spending time with other people, giving the other people or this other person attention and ignoring you. It would feel like hurt and like betrayal, wouldn't it? In the same way, when we choose the things of this world over God, it's like we're neglecting Him for something temporary, something like selfish desires or more money, fame, pleasure, all at the cost of our relationship with God. Take, for instance, King Solomon. It's a great example. He started out wise and devoted to God, but over time, he allowed the things of the world to pull him away from God. And the very same thing can happen to you and I if we're not careful. But James also gives us a way out. In verse 7, he says, submit yourselves to God. To submit means to humble ourselves before God, to trust His ways over our own, and to resist the pull of the world. When we resist the devil and his temptation, the Bible promises us that the devil will flee. And when we come near to God, He will come near to us. Now, in our society today, the word submit or submission is something that we just don't always like to hear. It is our human nature that we are more defiant and that we resist submission. We like to be strong. So let's talk for a minute. How do we submit to God? 3 ways. Number 1, we humble ourselves. James says in chapter 4, verse 6, he says, God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Humbling ourselves means admitting that we can't do everything on our own and we need God's help. It means trusting Him even when things aren't easy. Number 2, we draw near to God. The more time that we spend with God, praying, reading the Bible, worshiping, the closer we become to Him. Just like in any relationship, the more that you invest in it, the stronger that relationship becomes. And number 3, we resist temptation. Every day we are faced with choices that can pull us away from God or bring us closer to Him. But when we resist those things that pull us away, that lead us astray, like unhealthy friendships and materialism and selfishness, we are honoring God. James also tells us another important thing in verse 8. He says to purify your hearts. This means turning away from evil and focusing on what pleases God. It's about cleaning up our lives and letting go of these old sinful habits and making space for God's holiness. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus showed us the ultimate example of submission. He prayed, not my will, but yours be done, Father. Choosing God's plan over his own plan. This is the kind of submission that James is telling us to live with. It's a life that trusts and obeys in God no matter what. So today, friends, let's choose to submit to God fully. Let's resist the devil, purify our hearts, draw near to God, knowing that He will then in turn draw near to us. This is the path to peace and a deeper relationship with God. Now, if you have a prayer need or a request, please reach out to me at melissasteinour.com. Share this video with those around you, and I will talk to you again next week.